welcome to the Everything's Taken podcast. This is episode 3, and just to describe the name again, Wood and I wanted to do a podcast. Every name we wanted was taken, so you're stuck with that. Sorry, folks. Wood, how are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's been a heck of a day, honestly. I'm sat in the spare room of my friend Billy's house because his game room right now is torn to shreds. The carpet is half pulled up. Everything's shoved into the side, into the corner. They're trying to renovate the place, so I've hidden in here in this spare room with a blow-up mattress behind me and a Rue on one shoulder and an Eric on the other shoulder. I'm ready to go.
Well, that is good. So, okay. Obviously, you can already probably tell we have a guest with us. This is our inaugural guest, and in my opinion, I wouldn't want it any other way. So, Rue from ClanOfTheGrayWolf and 16-Bit Gems, it is an honor to have you on the program. How are you today, sir?
I can't complain. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for having me, both of you.
Yes,
I don't know.
We've battled with some technical issues, and we're probably going to talk over each other. So I apologize to the guy who commented on our first episode and said, "Don't talk over each other." You're just going to have to deal with it.
I will say that we were trying to find a guest for our first episode. We never wanted to do the podcast on our own. We always wanted to do a guest. And as soon as we settled in our minds that we were going to have you, that's who we wanted as the first guest. And we honestly did have guests. We have guests lined up that were ready. Trailer Drake wanted to do one. But I'm here at Billy's, and Billy was going to do one. But it was just set in our mind that we were going to have you first. I don't know. It was just...
All those guys gotta get behind me in line. Obviously, I'm way more important.
So for those people out there that are listening that don't know who the heck you are, who the heck are you?
That's a really good question. Who am I? I'm like someone from a bygone era. No, I am. My nickname is Rue. I started a website with a friend of mine back in 2009, Clan of the Grey Wolf, and a corresponding YouTube channel where probably definitely the most popular video series I made on that is 16-Bit Gems, which was a review show of old 16-bit games of yesteryear that were overlooked at the time. It's in 30-some episodes. Some of my favorites from that include like the BS Zelda games that were only released on the Satellaview in Japan, or ones that you could actually get here at the time, like Legend of the Mystical Ninja on the Super Nintendo. I'm definitely more of a Super Nintendo person, just to be out there, than a Genesis person, but there are some Genesis games that I talk about or have talked about.
Cool. Well, look, I came across your YouTube channel probably 4 some odd years ago now, and I was just it was just at the point where I was getting into YouTube back in 2012. So that's 5 years ago now. Wow, I'm getting old. And I found your series to be really good. I really enjoyed the long form type videos because you were around before GameSat came around. I was really into GameSat at a certain point, but you were really kind of the first person that took these huge long reviews and made them really palatable and interesting and informative. Seriously, like the BS Zelda stuff was so interesting. That stuff I had never known about prior, and then obviously your series on Earthbound is probably one of your more popular ones, and like you're known at least around the YouTube community as like the Earthbound guy, like the big Earthbound fan. So like what is it about Earthbound that like it just draws you to it? I'd like to know more about that.
That is funny. That was kind of the review that broke me out. I was hanging around for like 6 months at less than 100 subscribers, and then I did that Earthbound video, which I specifically saved for episode 10 because there's that old saying, like, if you're doing something, if you're starting some new form of art, don't do what you want to do. Like if you're doing a new podcast, for example, don't talk about what you want to talk about most on the first episode, because the first episode's going to be garbage, regardless of how good you are. So with that, I waited to do the Earthbound because Earthbound really is one of my favorite games of all time. Going back to... so I'm older than your average YouTuber, probably. So I was, a teenager when Earthbound came out, a young teenager, and got my Nintendo Power subscription and was reading. I was really big into RPGs, starting with Dragon Warrior and then going into Final Fantasy and things like that, and Chrono Trigger, of course. And when Earthbound started being teased, it's like, oh, it's an RPG. Classic style RPG that's set in kind of a weird modern day America setting. And I was like, oh, that's something new and different. It's like, I like the swords and sorcery kind of stuff from a classic RPG, but this is something new. And when I got the game, I got it like as soon as it came out. It was $70, which is crazy to think about now, but with inflation, it's probably over 100. Probably. But it's just got so much heart. And I don't know if you guys have ever played a Mother 3, which is the sequel to Earthbound, or even Mother, which is the I guess prequel, if you will. It's funny to go on a slight tangent, because when I first talked about this back in 2009, Earthbound was like not unknown. Starman.net, which was like the cult fan community website, was around for about a little over 10 years at that time. But in the time since, I'm not saying I had anything to do with this, but in the time since then, it's like it's become the cult game. Like almost everyone has at least heard of Earthbound in the gaming community, or the Mother series as it's known in Japan. Yeah. So it's like when I talk to people, I'm like, yeah, if you've ever heard of Earthbound or Mother 3, most everyone's like, yeah, we know what you're talking about. So it's like, but at the time I felt it was an overlooked game, and so I really wanted to talk about it. So I did a 2-part video. One part was, of course, just a review of the game, and another was kind of just a retrospective of the whole story of Earthbound, of the game's creation, and fan reaction and community up to that point, which by now is wildly out of date. There's been a lot of development since then.
That game for me, like I grew up in Australia. That game didn't come out in Australia. I never heard about it until I got into the retro gaming community. And then it kind of fell into my lap one day when I started collecting. A collector friend of mine was getting rid of his entire collection, and he had Earthbound. And I think I actually traded a Sega CD for it. And I fell in love with it instantly. I love retro games, but I usually don't sit down and play old school games for hours and hours and in a couple weeks and try and finish it. I'm usually the kind of guy that I'll play some Blaster Master and call it a day. But as soon as I put that thing in, I needed to finish it. I was addicted to it. I loved it so much. And I finished it maybe 2 years ago now. I never actually dived into Mother 3, but there is something so special about that game. It was such a different experience than the Super Nintendo.
Absolutely. And the Super Nintendo is probably, I don't know, arguably, people will definitely argue and say maybe PlayStation 2, but to me, Super Nintendo is like the RPG system. It's got some of the best RPGs of all time on it, and Earthbound is right up there as one of the best.
Yeah, I have to agree with both you guys. Like, Earthbound, for me, it was... look, I saw a lot of stuff about Earthbound, and of course people knew who Ness was, even if you didn't know what Earthbound was, from simply playing Smash Brothers on the 64. People are like, oh, who's this little Charlie Brown looking kid?
Yeah, and that was my first experience with it.
And now he's just evolved to this cult status, to the point where you've got amiibos, and he's more well known, and to the point where, specifically today, we'll be role-playing as Ness for the rest of the episode, so...
slow clap for you there.
All right, and now, look, if you guys didn't cringe, I feel bad for you. So, no, look, Earthbound was a game that I did not get into when I first started playing it over emulator. I just couldn't get into it. And then I bought a PAL version of it. It was obviously like somebody had burned the ROM image to a board and put it in a PAL cartridge, and I just sat and played it on this like 10-inch TV, and just for like 40 hours or so, I just kept playing and just got so sunk into it. Now that I loved Earthbound and Mother 3 and Earthbound 0, as it's officially called now. So it's just a really well-loved series. So I just got to say thanks for turning me on to Earthbound. And now you can look at this atrocity for the next hour.
I am more than happy. That's one of the things. Is like when I go to these conventions, Wood's seen me. When I go to these conventions and people come up and say like, "Hey, thanks for getting me into this game," or more specifically, "Thanks for getting me into Earthbound." I'm like, awesome. That's the whole point of going on YouTube and doing all this crazy crap, is like to try to spread the gospel, so to speak, of these games. Really quick funny story though is that I even did this back in high school. I would go to school and be like, oh my god, you got to try this game, it's amazing, this Earthbound game, and I would I loaned that out no less than 4 times to friends. Wow. Most of them didn't really get it or really glom onto it, but one particular person I loaned the game to, and then he moved away. I didn't realize he was about to move away, and he took my game.
Oh, no.
No.
So I was like, well, I need this game. So I went out and bought another copy.
Oh, no.
And then I don't know the exact situation, but he came back a year or two later. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I still have this game. Here, let me give it back to you." So I have I have 2 full copies of Earthbound in various pieces somewhere.
Oh, that's
in my
such a
house.
relief that you have the original. There's something about the original game that's you can't lose that.
The big box
it's
version.
just exactly. And it's funny to me that, like, you know, those complete boxes, I think last I checked are still going for like $1,000.
Oh yeah,
or something ridiculous like that.
It's insane in Canada. Like it's so much worse up in Canada. Like a couple thousand, if not a few thousand.
So let me ask you, Rue, like, why do you think the value of Earthbound is so high? Obviously, look, their marketing campaign, this game stinks. Obviously, they didn't do it. They didn't do it in a way that would really appeal to the general consumer. So, like, obviously it's a cult status now. What do you think Earthbound is worth so much? Like, is it really that good of a game to warrant the $1,000 price tag? Surely it's not. But I'd like to hear what you think.
Well, it corresponds with the rise of gaming of game collecting culture, so to speak. You know, it was around 2010 or so that people really started collecting or 16-bit games, I should say, in general, but especially Super Nintendo games, like as a hobby. You know, and it's how these things go in cycles and generations as people who grow up with certain systems grow up and they get a little bit of disposable income. You know, it's like 5 years before that was the NES, and then 5 years after the Super Nintendo got big, the Nintendo 64 collecting started to get big, etc. And now we're approaching PS2, GameCube kind of stuff. So in general, across the board, prices go up on these games for Super Nintendo games. But it was right around that time, like I said before, in 2010, that the internet, YouTube, and certainly not just me. You have Happy Video Game Nerd made a great video on Earthbound, 2 great videos on Earthbound. You have probably almost most importantly Chugga Conroy, who's a very famous Let's Player, who made an Earthbound Let's Play, turned tons of people onto it. It's that whole YouTube culture that helped further this game into and prominently put it up there as the cult game that no one really knew about back in the day. But it's so unique. It's got a lot of heart, blah, blah, blah. And then people play it, and anyone can play it on an emulator. And now anyone can play it on Virtual Console for Wii U. But it's that idea of collecting. Why do people collect stamps? Why do people collect coins or magnets or whatever? You know, it's like they want to have that physical thing. And yes, maybe even play it as it was meant to be played on the system, on an old CRT TV, etc. And because there weren't that many copies made, when it becomes a big deal now, that's supply and demand. It's going to go up. And let's just face it, also, Earthbound fans are crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now that leads us to our next question here. There is a Earthbound fan documentary coming out. Talk about your involvement with this, because I've obviously only seen the trailer, and that's all that's out at this point in time. How did you get in contact with these guys? Like, are you just that much of a super Earthbound fan that people would reach out to you and be like, "We need you in our documentary"? So, talk about your experience with that. I'd be interested to hear.
That's actually an interesting question, because I'm getting so old and it's been so long now. I can't remember exactly how initial contact was made. But what you're talking about is Earthbound USA is the name of the documentary, which is, and I feel not mad, not angry, but just like, because that's an idea I had for a while, but I just never followed up on, was like, wouldn't it be great to have a documentary, not so much about the game, but about the community, this amazing community that's grown up around this game and this 3-game series, you know, of relatively obscure games. But Jeff Benson, who's kind of been involved with the Earthbound fan community at starman.net for a while, who's creating the documentary, he had reached out to me at one point, I think maybe through some other people, because I also wound up buying one of the Earthbound Zero prototypes. So not to get too bogged down in lore, but Mother 1, which was the prequel to Earthbound, or Mother 2 in Japan, was released or going to be released on the NES in like 1991, and it was basically completed and pulled from the production schedule by Nintendo for whatever reason. But there's a handful of these prototype cartridges. I say prototype loosely. If you want to get really technical, they're probably like review copies or whatever you want to call them. But the point is they're basically finished games. And I bought one off of an eBay auction, I think in 2010, that had happened to find its way into Europe. But I bought it and I brought it back and was doing some work to kind of like dig into it, see if there's anything different about it versus the other cartridges, etc. And so the guys from the Earthbound USA documentary kind of reached out to me mostly to talk about that. My experience getting it, whether I think it's genuine, things like that, because there's all sorts of internet detective work going into like seeing which of these is genuine, blah, 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 blah. And then also, since I am, I guess, a part, or have been mostly a part of the YouTube community, and this, what you guys were just talking about, this kind of growth, this kind of exponential growth of Earthbound into the internet community and the YouTube community, just to talk about that and my experiences with that. And those guys are great. I've filmed for them, I want to say no less than 3 times at this point, meeting up at various conventions like PAX East. I brought the prototype with me to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo last fall, and we talked for like a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours about that. We brought it out to the show floor, put it in an NES, played it with Frank Cifaldi, who is a pretty prominent video game historian. It was a lot of fun, and those guys are doing a lot of work to make the best documentary they can, and I'm really excited to see it, actually.
Yeah, it looks, from what I've seen, it looks really cool, and obviously it appeals to, I would say, a niche market in terms of the concept, but however, just because of what it is, some of these documentaries really end up taking off, so it's only, excuse the pun, bound to get some more fans of the actual game, just because the subject matter is just so interesting. You look at the game and it just looks like just a bunch of Charlie Brown kids walking around and fighting monsters with baseball bats and sticks and yo-yos and magic. But there's just something so interesting about the game that obviously you and I and Wood just love, and it's drawn millions of people to it. So, and it was good for you to cover the prototype cartridge, because that was actually one of our other questions here. So
I was so determined when I played that game to not use the walkthrough, but I had to do it twice. I had to do it, when you hit that town, when everything gets kind of crazy, it gets like turns to night and everything gets really weird.
Oh, Moonside.
Yeah, I got stuck in there. I think there was someone I was supposed to talk to that was like hidden in a black spot, hidden in the darkness somewhere.
Yes.
I had to use it there, and it broke my heart that I had to, and then I didn't use it again until I got right to the end. I don't know if I missed something. I don't know if I was supposed to read something, but I would never have beaten the boss if I didn't Google it. Never in a million years would I would have thought of that.
Well, and that was one of the really fun things about... Oh, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that's one of the really fun things about that game, is that it came with its own greatly... I don't know, I'm using English poorly, but a great strategy guide. That's like part strategy guide, part just like in-universe hint map. Like every town had its own newspaper headline sheet, and things like that. And actually the guys at Fangamer have come up with, they did a great Mother 3 strategy guide in the same vein. I have a first edition of that's just great, and it's like the amount of work that was and love that has gone into these things is just really emblematic of how much these games bring people together. I mean, there have been a couple of basically Earthbound conventions in Arizona that have brought hundreds of people to Arizona. I was lucky enough to go to the first one, and it was just blowing my mind. I was like, I don't know, can they be able to pull this off? Basically a whole convention based around one game, a full weekend, and no, it was amazing. And everyone really was just having the time of their lives. It was so much fun.
That's crazy. When you think of games that can do that, I mean, your mind, if you were to pick one, your mind would go to like Final Fantasy maybe. It's like other like popular games, but it's crazy to think that Earthbound can bring people together like that. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest, but it is crazy to think about.
And I think the little kind of niche part of it is a big part that helps bring those people together.
Yeah, there is a lot of interest in the game just because nobody can really get their hands on the actual cartridge or the actual big box version. And the big box version with the Greatly guidebook, like you said, in your fantastic English before.
It's just bigly. It's huge.
It's huge. China.
No, I gotta say, I am really loving this episode of Earthbound's Taken. And I gotta say, for the most part, I actually am loving it because we underplayed it a little bit for Eric here. Eric was really excited for this podcast. He honestly is such a big fan of yourself, but also he is the biggest Earthbound fan I have ever met in my life.
Look, I'll
this
tell
guy.
You,
for those that are listening to this and not watching this, earlier you might have missed. You told me you were going to wear your Earthbound getup, but I completely forgot. And you Superman busted it out of nowhere. This is, I can tell you, this is Eric's favorite thing on YouTube right now.
I don't look. Some games I get into like all the promo stuff. Obviously, you've got your amiibos, you've got your Ness, and you've got your Lucas, which he's over there on my on-air sign. And then I went as far as to buy a 3D printed Starman from Etsy, which is really cool. So it's like a Starman themed amiibo.
Really good.
So yeah, it's pretty good because it's funny because obviously you got to sand it down and paint it, and you can even take the base out of this thing and actually put one of the amiibo stands. And then there's one of the I have the whole set here of the Mother 2. I think they came in like gumball machines in Japan, the little collectible figures.
I got the larger version of that actually with the green base.
Wow.
That
I like that.
And there's a really great book. It's part of the boss fight book series. It's called Earthbound by Ken Bauman.
Yep, that's
really
amazing.
Great and really informative book. Read it after you play the game because what the boss fight series books do is, particularly with this one, it goes into like a lot of the backstory and how, as a player, you can interpret the stories. I probably read it about 2 years ago, so I can't say I'm too up to snuff on the actual stuff on the book, but it's such a great read, and it's a cheap book as well, and it goes in order of the towns, Onett, Tucson, etc. So really great read, and it's probably only about $20. So please, if you're a fan of Earthbound and you haven't read this book, you've got to get into it. Like you said, Rue, there's just such a huge Earthbound community, and not knowing that coming into the game and playing the game and beating the game and wanting to know more about the game, all that information is there readily available if you want to research on it, specifically books and figures and toys, and the guys doing the fan documentary, and then from the starman.net, there's just such a lot of stuff to grab onto. It's just a really great series, especially if you want to get into games. So
it's if we're plugging books, I also have to talk about the from the Legends of Localization series that's now being printed in book form by Clyde Mandelin and friends. Clyde being one of the Tomato from the Starman.net forums, one of the founders of Starman.net, the original Earthbound fan community. He's a localizer. In his real life job, I should say, and he does amazing work. Those folks were kind enough to send me a Legends of Localization on Earthbound. It was just incredible, high quality, like everything else that fangamer.net, which is the kind of sister business of Starman, makes. And if you haven't had a chance to read that, I highly suggest grabbing it if you're a fan of Earthbound. So
yeah, I'll have to check that out.
And of course, both of those books can be listened to on audiobooks. Our sponsor for this episode. No, I don't know. Sponsor.
I was going to be really impressed.
But speaking of, there is one last thing Earthbound to cut to, Eric, if you want to take it away with that.
All right, so the first half of the podcast has been really great. We've talked about a lot of great Earthbound stuff, specifically Rue's involvement with the Earthbound USA fan documentary and just our general love of Earthbound. So to continue the trend, we're going to cut to a song from my Retro Game Remix Volume 2 album. It's a cover of Pollyanna, I Want to Be With You, from the Earthbound series, the Mother series, but I think it's from Earthbound 0 now that they've actually put an official title on it. So I'll take the song away. And welcome back, everybody. Second half of the podcast. Obviously, I've changed my shirt, so thanks for hanging with us during the intermission there, featuring the one of my songs from Retro Game Remix Volume 2, my cover of the well-loved Earthbound theme, Pollyanna. So we have Rue with us here from Clan of the Grey Wolf, 16-Bit Gems, The Way Games Work, and one of my favorite, Echo Screen Live, featuring Daniel the Commodore.
Thank you. He would love to hear that. We've been the only thing that's really active right now that I work on is Echo Screen Live. Life has gotten in the way for the most part.
I tell you, I was working a night job about 3 years ago now. And it was when Echo Screen Live was just up to episode 31, and I was working by myself, 10-hour days, 4 days a week, and I just had you guys in my ear for 30 episodes, and that took me through the whole night job. And like your banter with the Commodore, so great. So moving on to the second part of the show, I would like to steal some thunder from the Commodore and dub this the topic du jour. I've been waiting so long to say that.
I'll have that.
Okay, I backed ukulele on Kickstarter 2 years ago now, and I backed it for the Wii U version. And I'm feeling burned because they canceled the Wii U version, and I nominated to get the Switch version. And they haven't delivered, nor have they given any information on the Switch version. So I went and bought it on PS4 just because I'm loaded. Why not? And I'm just feeling disappointed, man. Like I just wanted to see if you guys had any bad Kickstarter experiences, or you felt left out, or you just backed Shovel Knight and you've got the greatest game in the world. Like how do you feel about that, guys?
I guess I'll dive in because I want to ask a quick question to you. I've heard a lot of average things about that game before I talk about my Kickstarter experiences. Apparently it's not doing as hot as everyone hoped. I know you've only played it for a little bit, but you feeling that yet?
Yeah. Look, it is a game straight out of the 90s. And if you've played Banjo-Kazooie, which I know both of you guys said you have limited or little experience with it, it acts the same way. It's like a Rare game from 1990, but it was made now. There's still some of the wonky camera problems, some of the really cheesy, dry British humor. But I like that. I grew up on those type of games. That sounds like charm.
So I actually like that. That's making me want to play it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people look. Don't listen to game reviews. Don't listen to your IGNs or GameSpots or whatever, because
I generally don't.
Honestly, some of those guys are just full of shit. You got to play the game for yourself, and you got to get your own experience of the game. So I saw all the negative reviews, and every criticism they had of Yooka-Laylee so far was like, I love that. That's exactly why I loved Rare in the 90s. That's why I like Conker's Bad Fur Day and Banjo-Kazooie and whatever. So it has a lot of charm to it. Is it a perfect game? No, but in my 2 hours experience, I love it so far, and I'm glad I bought it, and I'm glad I'll get it again on the Switch. So but I know some Kickstarter backers are not always that lucky. Look, I've been waiting for 2 years now for Sydney Hunter and The Curse of the Mayans, or Mayans Revenge from CollectorVision, which is actually a game coming out on Super Nintendo. So some things take time, but I don't know. What's your talk?
Okay, look, so there's only been one time that I tried to back something, and it was on Indiegogo, and I got really excited because I thought it was going to be a really good product, and then I got it, and it was just the worst thing. It was just boring. It was actually a DVD from these two guys called the Game Chasers, and I just didn't.
Hot garbage.
No, honestly, I have actually bought most of their DVDs off Indiegogo, but that's the only experience that I've had, and that's just purely because I want to support a friend. I have this thing with, when I buy something, I want to have it. I'm just really impulsive like that. So I usually don't back things. Also, I've seen so many people get burned on these Kickstarter things that for me, it's something that I always kind of stay away from. If there was something really to my needs, just off the top of my head, if Kingdom Hearts for some reason couldn't get a backing, I'm such a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, I would support that. But for me, that's never really happened, so I kind of stay away from it personally. But I don't know. What about you, Ru? How do you feel?
Very similar to what you were saying before, or what you were just saying, I should say, is that mostly I stay away from Kickstarter or Indiegogo stuff because of the high likelihood of things just falling through or just kind of pissing people off because it doesn't deliver on what it promised. Because most thing you can go everywhere from like the pissed off people from the Oculus Rift and Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter stuff, up to the minor to medium annoyances of like Yooka-Laylee, to solid gold, which is basically Shovel Knight. And I bought Shovel Knight. Yeah, there you go. with the amiibo.
Wow, that was good timing.
You know, he
Yes,
knew it was coming, is what it was. Eric was on the ball. But I like, that's probably the best game to come out of Kickstarter. And the thing is, the vast majority of them don't even fail outright. They're just in a limbo of like, maybe it'll be good one day. Like Star Citizen is still in development. It's like,
wow, is that still not out?
No, it's like in beta 8.2 or something like that now, where you can walk around your
ridiculous.
your hangar.
I had a friend back when I worked at my old job in Australia. This is talking going on 2 years ago. That about a 6 months or a year before I left, had already invested $2,000 into that game because he was so like, he'd bought like all the ships, he was ready to go, like thousands of dollars, and it's still not out. I didn't know that. That is insane.
I mean, it still sounds very promising, but it's been like 3-4 years now.
Yeah,
and they still haven't actually delivered, so it's very distressing. But having said that,
there's
sorry,
some.
Go ahead.
No, a lot of Kickstarter games don't come to fruition. Like one game that I didn't know about when it was in the campaign stage, but I did find out about afterwards, was 90s Arcade Racer, and it seemed like the spiritual successor to Daytona USA that I've been waiting for since the day I was born, back in 1993. And this game, the last update was November 2015, and you still have people commenting as recently as maybe a couple weeks ago. It's like, any updates? Or, oh, I want a refund, this guy's an asshole, he stole our money. It's like, you know, you gotta be privy to what you're getting into, because look, when you back a Kickstarter, they're not guaranteeing that they're going to release this product or release this game. Some things are just in limbo. Same thing with like the people from Mighty Number 9. They kept delaying it, and it came out, and it was like, I played it, I didn't love it, but you know, there are some Kickstarter horror stories. So Rue, continue.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm kind of like, I'm weird like Wood, where it's like, if I pay money for something, I kind of want that thing like now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
do you digital game then? Because I can't digital game.
No, I don't like it. I don't like the digital game. I like to have the hard copy.
Yeah, actually, we won't go into that again because I talked about it on the last podcast for about 20 minutes. But yeah, it's not. I just can't do it. I need it in my hands.
Well,
I need it.
And even beyond that, it's like I have some digital games on the Wii U, but it's only 32 gigs, so I can't even have all the. And those, I didn't even buy those games. Those were like Club Nintendo rewards, and I can't even hold all those games at the same time. It's kind of garbage.
Yeah, I have a few Club Nintendo rewards as well, and it sucks because like a part of the reason is I know they're there, but I always forget. You just reminded me I haven't finished Minish Cap yet. And it's like, I hate that. I need the box to remind me to finish the game.
Yes, exactly. But having said all that, there are a couple of Indiegogos I've been at least tangentially involved with that have turned out pretty well. There's Pat, the NES Punk's Ultimate NES Guide, which I helped write a few things on.
Yes.
Which turned out great. Very, very proud to have been a part of that book. And also the Video Game Years Indiegogo, which is also one of those projects I'm still very proud to have been a part of.
It's definitely a little easier to trust friends.
Exactly. So having said all that, there is one Kickstarter that I have backed, and it was successfully completed. I was a happy customer. It was for hot sauce.
Like actual hot sauce?
Like actual hot sauce. It's called Wuju. It's like, or something like that, like WUJU. And it's just like this thing I saw on Reddit one day, and it's like, hey, I want to do this hot sauce. I'm like, I'm in the mood for hot sauce. I'm going to back this Kickstarter for $10. And you know what? I got my darn hot sauce.
From sunrise to sunset, hot sauce at a new standard. Let's see, it's
pretty good.
$61,103 to help bring this project to life. That's good. It's something out of the box. I never would have thought of hot sauce.
You gotta, video games are hard, but you know what? When someone says I'm doing a Kickstarter to make some hot sauce, I believe them. I'm like, you know what? I believe in you. You can get that goal.
It's funny because like I said before, I backed Sydney Hunter and the Caverns of Death for Super Nintendo. So the pledge I had was an actual Super Nintendo physical cartridge in the box and the manual, and I'll get that at some point. But it's 2 years ago. And then another game that from the same guys, Collector Vision, Justice Beaver. I didn't back it, but I ended up composing the music for the Super Nintendo game, which was really cool.
That's
so I
awesome.
did that with a friend of mine, Jason Heine, from the All Gen Gamers podcast and the Emu Review, it used to be known as. So we worked on the music together. So I've composed music for a Indiegogo backing campaign that it still hasn't come out yet. So like I technically I'm on two sides of the coin. So I've backed projects and then I've worked on a project that's been backed. So like there's $25,000 invested in this Super Nintendo game, but it'll be cool because my name will be in the manual and everything. So that's cool. Just my little shout out there.
I mean, but that's the thing. Is we all from both sides of the coin, we understand how difficult it can be, especially when you throw in a crap load of stretch goals. How difficult it can actually be to successfully put on a Kickstarter. It's not that the vast majority of people go out on Kickstarter like, I'm gonna swindle those chums out of their money, yeah, or whatever. It's just really hard, and it's like that. I've been tempted a few times to back some video game projects on Kickstarter. I'm just like, I'm gonna wait and see if it actually gets released, and then I'll buy it. You know, I might have to pay a little bit more for it because I didn't get on the ground floor, but I'd rather just wait and see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Bro, when the hell are you getting back to it, man? It's been years.
I get that often. I haven't. Okay. So let's see. I haven't really been active. I can't remember when the last 16-bit gems I put out was. Maybe a year and a half ago. Maybe 2 years ago. And like I said previously, the only thing I'm really active with right now is Echo Screen Live, and even then, kind of intermittently, since it's a live show, and if there are technical difficulties, we would just skip that show. But I'd like to think that I'm on just an extended hiatus because I really do enjoy making videos. Even though the YouTube community seems to have changed a bit since in the past few years. I'm now, this is the part where I enter and talk as an old man. In my day, no. No, but it is different, right? I mean, there's a lot of high quality.
It's a little.
Sorry, go ahead, Wood. I think you.
No, I was going to say, as far you sounded like you were going to head into the actual content creators themselves, whereas I was thinking more towards the actual content watchers. So you finish your thought, and then I'll tag mine on at the end.
I mean, it's all that, right? It's you have certain. And I'm not casting stones, but it's like a lot of the more popular channels, they can skew toward younger, because 13-year-olds watch the same thing over and over. On YouTube or TV or whatever, and it's very difficult. It wears you down after a while if you make a video, for example. Every video I make, I try to outdo the one I've done previously, which is why if you look at the first few 16-bit gems versus the last few, it's like they get a lot longer. And it kind of wears down after a while, just trying to outdo my own work previously. And that takes a lot more time. And then I do have a day job, which I enjoy, and helps pay the bills. That, especially a few years ago, that kind of had to come first. So I've had less time for doing such things. I've also taken up other hobbies. I've gotten into local community acting and things like that, which is actually a lot of fun. But having said all that, like I said before, I kind of more see it as an extended hiatus. I've actually recently installed Adobe Premiere Pro back on I actually bought a new computer with video editing in mind.
It's happening.
It's happening. I'm hearing some HD rumblings of this happening.
I have literally half a dozen scripts that are half written of Way Games work and 16-bit gems. It's like I got to get back to. It's funny. It's the same thing I've told people for years, whenever they're like, what is like the main advice you would tell an aspiring YouTuber? And my main advice would be, just do it. Just get up and do something. put something out there because, you know, that's the only way you're going to even get started. 90% of the time, people are just like, maybe I'll do this, and then they don't.
Yeah.
You just got to go. Otherwise, and really that's for anything, is like you just got to go out there and do it. Otherwise, it'll definitely never get done.
You have to start somewhere, and it's always going to suck at the start. No matter how good you think it is or bad you think it is, you got to start somewhere. You got to throw it up and keep getting better and better and better. And even if you get it amazing that first time, give it a year. Keep making videos for a year, then look back at that first one, and you will hate it. It'll be the worst thing you've ever done. You just need to start.
I tell you, it's exactly like that. Like, it's even more to the point there, because I do video game covers, and if you compare the quality of my very first cover, which was Journey to Silius main theme from the NES, if you compare that to even just like the song that we did in episode 2, which was, what was it, Mega Man 3, was it? Like, if you compare the quality of the production from point A to point B, it's like night and day. And I've only just recently realized the difference in audio quality just looking back, because I always thought, oh man, this is my shit's hot, you know what I mean? Like, this sounds so good. And it's like, when you're in the moment, you're proud of what you've done, but give it some time, look back, and it's like, gee, I didn't even notice myself grow in terms of quality. And like, you can really see that in both of your respective channels, Rue and Wood. Like, the Legend of Wood and Kane is now this big, huge thing.
Can you friggin' not?
No, that's true. Like, we were just talking about the Earthbound video I made, which now is over 7 years old. Jesus.
Damn.
So I look back at that now, and I cringe the entire time for so many reasons. Just like the quality of the jokes, even, and the audio is terrible versus like just what I have right here, and just like all these things. I'm like, oh my god, that's one of the top things I would love to do, is just a like an updated, redone Earthbound video. Probably wind up being an hour long, but I just want something so that, because I really appreciate when people are like, oh man, I love your Earthbound video. I'm just like, I really appreciate it, but man, is that video garbage in my eyes for so many reasons when looking back at it now.
The moment you said hour-long Earthbound video, I was so glad that Eric's camera cuts off at his waist. Really so glad.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I hate... Like, the worst thing for me looking back at my old videos is I look like Jennifer Aniston. I honestly do. Like, there's something wrong with me. I did not... And it was a comment someone left, too. Like, I knew I looked like a goofy idiot back then, but someone left a comment saying you look like Jennifer Aniston, and a light went off in my head. I'm like, oh, I did.
Oh, she's very pretty. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no, yeah, I was a very pretty boy.
You're a very pretty man.
I don't understand how you look like Jennifer Aniston.
You haven't gone back and looked at the videos then.
It's the boobs.
I'll go back.
Yeah, you'll go back.
It's his boobs.
Yeah.
And actually, that's something I've been talking about back and forth with poor Norm, the gaming historian, who's blown up in popularity the past few years.
Oh yeah, and he's doing a great job too.
No, and he's amazing. I love Norm. He's a great guy too. But we've talked about doing an Earthbound thing forever. So if I could get off my butt and maybe do something, that'd be great.
That would be awesome. I love Norm's content. You two together.
And not that it always works out, but I mean, that's a great example of someone who took time off basically for several years and came back stronger than he ever was before, and it really couldn't happen to a better guy. He puts out really quality content, and he's so good, just a great person.
He invests.
I tell you, so speaking of I'm sorry to talk over you.
Yeah, you're
speaking of
you're not going to be on the next
here,
podcast.
like,
I'm telling you now. I swear to God.
I'm kicking myself. I'm going to talk over myself. Speaking of Earthbound stuff, I've actually been planning for the last year a 10-song Earthbound album tribute album. I even have the artwork. It's called a musical tribute to Earthbound, and I have the Earth logo in gold, and I have 10 songs planned for it.
That's awesome.
The 8 melodies: Magicant, Ness's House, Pollyanna, Skyrunner theme, Snowman, Winters, and the Coffee Break. And I also have 4-side a jazz rendition. It's just like, I wanna do it at the point where my quality is really great, but like you said, just do it and don't be ashamed of like the quality. You just got to get it out there. But like, I'm just so picky with my quality that it just hasn't made its way out there yet.
Yeah.
But there are a couple songs out there on my Retro Game Remix channel, but I just haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm just like, I gotta get it out there.
So,
but at least I don't look like Jennifer Aniston.
I just have a really quick question because I'm not really clear on it. You two, do you like Earthbound? Are you fans of Earthbound? Like, take it or leave
No,
it?
What's Earthbound? Sorry. I thought we were talking about the Legend of Hidden Temple. I don't know.
I think I was going to say Legend of Wooden Cane for a second. And I was like, I
was going to, and then I
swear to God.
I took a sidetrack. And then beyond all that we're talking about, just to belabor the point even more, YouTubers in general have gotten really good, high quality stuff. Like, even if their content's crap, they're usually really high quality with their videos and their editing and stuff like that. That's very intimidating to me. I am not at all. I am completely self-taught in terms of video editing or anything like that. So it's like to come back. It's like an old man trying to come back after retiring to be like, I still got it. Watch what I can do, you know. But again, that's just my own insecurities talking, and I like I said before, I don't know until I actually go out and do it.
You know,
so.
Ru, to me, you're like the Peyton Manning of the YouTube world. You know,
don't say that.
You get drafted. You get drafted first round out of Tennessee or Ole Miss, 98. Play for the Colts. You're really good, and now you're in the point where you've had your spinal injury. But soon, the Denver Broncos are going to draft you, and you're going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be Linsanity.
Well, I kind of love that analogy and kind of hate it since I'm a New England Patriots fan, but I'll take it.
As far as you getting back into it, the community, the retro gaming community, but the gaming community in general, I started YouTube about 5 years ago. So when I started was about when, you know, you were like getting close to taking your break, and it was definitely strong, and it was unique, and it didn't really matter what kind of quality you had. People would watch you if you had something interesting to bring to the table, if it was something unique about you, if you knew something, if you had knowledge in something. And you can really see that attention spans in the last few years have just dropped. And it's like YouTube has grown, it has changed. Everything's so flashy now, everything's so fast now. You have these ads before all the videos that have to catch you in the first 5 seconds or else people click away. Like, everything's become 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. So I can see why it would be daunting to get back into it. But there is one thing I'll say about the retro community. While they hate anything you do that's not retro and will crucify you for it, if you come back and you do your thing, which is what Rue would do, they'll be there. They haven't gone anywhere. They're still there, and you'll still have that same fan base, 100% for sure.
And I will say that is the main thing that's making me want to get back into it is the fan community, the fans, and the retro gaming community, and just all the great people I've met who are so supportive. And like, I still go to a couple of mostly when I'm invited, I'll go to a couple of conventions a year. I just got back from PAX East doing a panel there. I was at Portland Retro Gaming Expo doing a panel with Norm last fall. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm complete has-been, done. I haven't really done anything. I've not been relevant at all on YouTube in years. And I still have people coming up to me like, hey, I'm a big fan, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wow, you've been carrying that torch for a while, and props to you for that. But it's an amazing feeling, and I'm so appreciative of all the people of all the 70,000 people that are still subscribed to my channel. You know, they're just waiting for something good to come out for a change. And
well, from the voice of one of the 70,000, which was me, I'd probably be the biggest fan. Not gonna lie.
Could be number one.
We as a collective conglomerate of the 70,000 subs, I'm honestly just really eager to see anything new that you do, because your quality is just your quality standard has always been so high, and just your informative value has just been so great. Like, the content was really good, you presented yourself really well, the jokes were really funny and well written, and and honestly, like, I tell you what, some of my favorite videos on there are Oh, it was you and the Commodore, and it was like the scene where you reenacted
God.
the Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
Where, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
In the theater or whatever it was.
What was it you were talking about before? What about being completely embarrassed about stuff you've done?
and the video where he's playing Resident Evil and he's got a girlfriend coming over or something like that. It's just the video series that you did with him was just
his
great.
actual girlfriend at the time, which that really makes me feel old because that was a few girlfriends ago. He's now married. He's got 2 kids. Yeah, that was a while ago. Holy crap. So, but it's all a lot of fun, and I still love going out and meeting the people, and videos are coming.
I have a question, and this might take a while.
Oh, good.
And we might need to reset the cameras another half hour, but let's see if we can get through it. Rue.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned that Rue's your nickname.
Uh-huh.
How did you get that nickname?
I can't remember.
I know it.
You actually can't remember?
No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted a really short answer to the question you said. So wait. Eric knows the name. Knows the story. I want to hear him tell it.
Okay, look in my spare time. I'm a detective. I'm a super sleuth. You know, initially, Hideo Kojima came to me and asked me, "Do you want to be in the hit Sega CD game Snatcher?" And I said, "No, I can't. I'm too busy." So, like, I am a detective. So, okay, look, we all know your name is Joey.
Yeah.
And we all, look, I live in Australia, okay? I've seen the dead kangaroos on the side of the road.
You should both definitely know.
I've seen them.
I've forgotten. It's been a couple years.
Look, I'm more Australian than you are. What at this point?
I know. I agree.
I can tell from your accent.
So one would think by using word association that Joey would also indicate Rue.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
No, you are correct.
Super sleuth.
In a general sense, you are correct. For the full story that I'm sure no one actually cares to hear, but I'm going to go ahead and tell anyway.
Tell us.
When I was in college, I went to University of North Carolina. 2002 exactly. Thank you. 2017 NCAA basketball Division I champions, and I was in the marching band. And so my first, before you start class, you have to show up for band camp. Like 1 or 2 weeks before classes even start, and that's like your first your first immersion in the college atmosphere, the college life, and that's the first in a lot of ways the first friends you really make. So I was in the trombone section. We were getting together, trombone meeting, just kind of bonding and such.
The tromboners,
exactly, the rock hard bones, and and. We're introducing ourselves. My name being Joey. There was a sophomore, 1 year older, named Joe. So he couldn't have that. He's like, no, you can't be Joey. There can't be 2 Joes. So he had a penchant for nicknames. So he's like, you know what? You can be Rue. And that's it. And so then that was my band nickname. All 4 years was Rue. So when it came time, several years later, to come up with an online internet persona, Rue. Boom. Done.
I used to spin off on that. I used to have a job at a Burger King or Hungry Jack's, as Eric will be getting accustomed to over there in that side of the world.
Hungry Jack's is literally a block away from me.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Right. Is that the same thing as Burger King?
Exactly the same.
Yes, same thing.
And
wow.
Working there, all the boxes that came in all said Burger King. So I don't know why they felt the need to change it, but there was 2
I bet
woods.
they don't even have free refills on their sodas.
They do not.
They don't.
That's sad. That's very sad.
There was 2 woods working. There was 3 woods in total out in the kitchen, but there was 2 woods working this day. And every time the boss would say wood, both of us would turn around and look at him. And he's like, you know what? I've had enough. From now on, points at me, you're Jeff. And he took it so hardcore that he that day made me an actual name tag, like an engraved one that said Jeff. And I was just for 3 years I was Jeff, and it was the weirdest thing because I was only Jeff at the job. But then 5 years later, because I started working that job when I was 13. 5 years later, I'm walking out and I would hear hey Jeff, and I look around, I'm like, oh, that's a thing that happened. I was Jeff for about 3 years of my life.
That's commitment.
I did not know that you were Jeff.
I was only Jeff to people that worked at Hungry Jack's between the years of 2003 and 2005.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to remember this.
Look, it makes sense now because I was gonna say you do look like Jennifer Aniston.
It's time to wrap up the podcast, Eric, and say goodbye while you're there.
I learned something.
This has been.
I learned something important today. That apparently Wood is a fairly common nickname in Australia, which I had no clue. So that's interesting.
All right, so thanks again, everybody, and thanks again to our special guest, Rue, for hanging with us on the third episode of the Everything's Taken podcast, or should I say Everything's Earthbound podcast. Just a quick shout-out to those of you who have been leaving reviews on iTunes. So, BNL Vince, this one's for you. Very entertaining podcast with some entertaining hosts, talking about the stuff we care about. If you're a fan of the Completely Unnecessary podcast, then this is a must listen. So he gave us a 5 out of 5. So thanks to you, BNL Vince, and everybody. If you listen on iTunes, give us some reviews on iTunes. Maybe we'll chart one day. You never know. But we'll probably never be as good as the Echo Screen Live, the topic du jour. I just love the topic du jour. Shit,
which I do want to segue into, and not that you were gonna not do it, but of course, Rue. You not only your own podcast, which if you're listening to this right now and you love podcasts, go check out Rue's podcast. It's fantastic. Obviously, Eric's a big fan, but go back and watch those 16-bit Gem episodes. You owe it to yourself to go and watch them. That's one of them things. Like for me, it's I'll start Game Chasers again and watch through those, and then I'll start Norm's episodes and watch through those, and I'll start 16-bit Gems. There's never a bad time to start and rewatch them or watch them for the first time. So links in the description of the video. Google it, YouTube it if you're listening to this. So thank you, Rue. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Everybody, link is in the description.
Oh God!
Stop. You know why? It's because
I told you guys I'm gonna do stand-up comedy. It's gonna be great.
He used to be the pun guy. Like 2 years ago, he was pun eccentric, and then he stopped. And the start of this podcast, I said you haven't done a pun in a while, and it hurt him. It hurt him in a place.
I haven't lost it.
Well, I mean, it's probably good that he's an Earthbound fanatic, because if he was a Star Wars fanatic, then he would be busy with his rogue pun.
I was waiting for something. I was just waiting.
That was rough. I apologize.
No, I liked it. But I was just waiting for something.
Although if you guys are ever free, let me know if you'd like to play some Mario Kart.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for having me. I'd actually super appreciate it. If you thank you again also for basically talking me up so much in 16-bit Gems, and if you go over and you're watching them and you subscribe to the channel, you never know, you might be surprised one day with like a new one, and then you'll die of a heart attack probably. So
yes. I can't wait.
But thank you very much. It's been a blast.
Yes, of course. So thanks everybody for watching and listening. Again, this has been the third episode of the Everything's Taken podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and maybe SoundCloud and maybe Facebook. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time on the ETPodcast, the podcast to phone home about.
Love it. Thank you. See you guys next time.